Hello, Dan Caldwell here, and welcome to Dan's Place. Now, I realize ahead of time that what I'm going to be talking about today may be controversial for some of you. So, if you want to avoid being challenged, you may want to move on right now and just stop listening. Today, let's talk about thinking. Thinking, yeah. Thinking is an interesting word, and it's defined as, if you please, uh, a process that we all should engage in. It is the process of using one's mind to consider or reason about something. Thinking for oneself really has become uh, not only limited, but almost non existent, if you please. Uh, I know what I'm saying, so just bear with me for a few minutes. We're being told what to think, not how to think. And we're being told by the news, by politicians, social media, and even special interest groups. And each of those will have their own special agenda anyway. This can be traced back to partially to our formal education system. When a child arrives on the planet, they arrive with an inbred curiosity, a tool given to all of us by the Creator. Before they go to school for that formal education, these little people learn to ask the why question. And when you answer that question, you hear another, but why? But when they go to elementary school, they're taught to raise their hand, and the teacher will give them the answer for their question. We've taught entire generations. You don't have to think, just raise your hand and you'll get the answer. So, thinking for oneself really is a lost art. Instead, we think what others tell us to think or what others think we should think on almost everything. You see, we were subjected to a lot of information when we were in school, and now we listen to the information in order to pass the test. We memorize what's needed so we can take the test and then forget what we remember, and even the why, if you please. If we pursue higher education, most college graduates continue down the same path of learning what to think, not how to think. Again, for that much anticipated test at the end of the semester. It isn't until we pursue advanced degrees that we are then required to know how to think. Please, I'm not throwing stones at our teachers. I'm really not. They're only teaching and training from the model that they were taught. Critical thinking is utilized at a higher level and higher facilities to begin to understand and evaluate the subject matter, or to put it simply, know how to think. I ask you to consider this conclusion from the National Commission on Excellence in Education from a report, The Nation at Risk, 1983. This was 1983, this report came out. Many 17-year-olds do not possess the higher order intellectual skills we should expect of them. Nearly 40% cannot draw inference from written material, and only one-fifth can write a persuasive essay, and only one-third can solve a mathematical problem requiring several steps. This trend in education has taught us to mind dump everything we know, especially when we're sharing information. So please let me encourage you. When you're presenting ideas and thoughts to others, take a moment and evaluate your approach. Are you unconsciously mind dumping in order to save time, or are you taking the time to help others develop conclusions and lead them to their own thoughts? Critical thinking is a higher order, a higher level of thinking. It is the ability to think for oneself. Now, that's a novel thought, isn't it? And then responsibility to make those decisions that affect their lives. In addition, critical thinking is also critical inquiry, investigating problems, asking questions, and coming up with new challenging answers. I asked you to consider the benefits of helping develop others in this critical thinking skill. They will be able to better understand not only your ideas, but theirs. And they'll have a better acceptance of methodologies. If they're able to, that is, understand and then evaluate and reach conclusions in a critical way, they'll be able to serve others at a much deeper level. And in addition, by developing your own critical thinking skills, they'll be better equipped to share their life-changing information. And they'll be able to share it with clients and coworkers and friends and family. And that way, honoring every human being on the planet that they come in contact with. Let me just propose critical thinking requires advanced listening skills, lecturing to an audience in a persuasive way of teaching. And when you lecture, it inhibits the audience participation and engagement. To engage them and to serve them, help them critically evaluate needs. And in this process, it is necessary to present the ideas and then allow the audience to develop their own conclusions. Openly discuss those new ideas. Allow the group to think deeply about ideas and in turn value what they think and feel. Then share those ideas. Create an environment that allows them to think that their ideas matter. Ask them to make connections and develop thinking partnerships. You see, the number one dysfunction of any team is the absence of trust. These techniques will allow your group and or your team to begin to develop trust in themselves and their thoughts, which in turn develops their critical thinking skills. At the conclusion of the discussion, and to further develop critical thought, ask your team to write out the most significant thing that they've learned and what single thing they would like to share or learn more about. This then becomes a vehicle for immediate feedback from the team about what they're learning and what they still need to learn and understand. When presenting, make sure you're encouraging questions and then praise the questioner with things like, "Good question," or "I'm sure others want to know that as well." Here's the bottom line. When your audience asks questions, it's a great indication that they're beginning to think critically. This is Dan Caldwell saying thanks for joining me again today. God bless and keep the fire burning.